Hello everyone. What I've done is magnetize a Blood Angel's Baal Predator, so that way you can make it into a Rhino, a Razorback, or if you have the parts, a regular Predator. So I'll go through all the parts that I've magnetized. The sponsons are, the rear is, the turret, parts of the turret are, as are the front hatches. And I'll go through each one and explain why each one was magnetized and how. So we'll start with the top. Take the turret off. I've magnetized the actual top, so that way you can interchange it with the top for just a Rhino, which we'll talk about more later. So what I've done was I've drilled 2 holes here and here, corresponding with the grill. Now actually I did it backwards at first, but that just gives you an option to do each way. So that aside, I have not magnetized the turret into the actual top, because it stays on pretty well. There's no need to do it, especially when you're on tabletop. You can still move it freely, not worry about anything coming off. So let's take that to the side for a second. And what I have done also is magnetize the top of the bottom of the hatch, just in case you want to move it. If you're using a Rhino, you can move it to the front later on. But as it stands for the turret, there's no actual point for the magnet, but we'll go over that later. The most important part though are the front and the back. So the front, all I've done is put one magnet on the top here that corresponds with the bottom of the gun cover right there. Now, you might not think it's strong enough, but it actually is. It just falls right on there. So instead of drilling through here, cutting through there, changing anything like that, you just put one on top. And the way that these guns are done is actually pretty useful, because there's plenty of support here, 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 and here, so it's actually going to stay in place pretty well. So, with that, put the one magnet there, and it just pops right on, and it's not going anywhere. So this becomes useful when you want to change out for the flame weapon, which doesn't stay in as well without your hands, so you need 2 hands to do this. But again, once the cover's on, it's on, and you can put it back on. You can still move it. This one's better off if you move it from the top. So that's there. Now we need to change the back, because that is the back of the turret for the, I can't remember the name of the thing. I've put a magnet here and here in the studs that were already there, and 2 in the divots for the corresponding recess. So, done it again for the fuel tanks for the flame, and you just pop it on, and it stays on, just like that. So there's your turret. So there's the first part of the Baal Predator. Now, while we're still on the Baal Predator part, imagine we still have this on, the sponsons. All I've done is put 2 holes on top of the doorways here and here. And this whole door unit comes out for me. And I put 2 magnets there and there. I have not glued or magnetized this because it stays in tight enough so it's not going to fall out on you. And what this also allows you to do is not have to magnetize the actual weapons, because I've done that before and it doesn't work out well. There are too many spots you have to do it. You have to match them up perfectly, and it's just a pain in the butt. So I've only magnetized the door part. You slide it in and it stays put. With this part, since it's not magnetized, except for the the little cover there, so I've magnetized this part inside of each weapon, and that goes there, so that way when I change out the bolter for the heavy flamer, I can stick it back in, which I'll show you now. So these are not glued, these are not magnetized, but the pegs and holes are large enough so they stay in by themselves. With my cover, I just stick it back in, and I'm good to go. And I put it back in the door, and I'm ready to face a different enemy. The other side, cover comes off, the actual mount comes off, and then the cover comes off. Same way, 2 magnets. 2 magnets. I just fill it in with green stuff after I'm finished. I drilled through the top. If you try to go in there, you're not going to get it straight. So I just go in through the top, fill it back in with some green stuff, and when you paint over it, you're not going to know the difference anyway. So, we've covered the sponsons. They just fit in like this. You pop them in, put the cover back on. The last part that pertains to the actual predator part, or Baal predator part, are the front. Because if you have anything raised here, you're not going to be able to turn the turret. It's going to get in the way. What that means, though, if you left it like that and you had a Rhino or a Razorback, you basically, if you glued it in without magnetizing it, you wouldn't be able to put any things here. You wouldn't be able to put your storm bolter, your missile launcher, your searchlight, whatever. Which kind of defeats the whole purpose of doing the rest of the work if you can't put any weapons on the front. So what I did was, to accommodate the turret of the Predator, and also to accommodate the possibility of arming your different weapons for the Rhino and the Razorback, I just took a piece of sprue. So I can take this off. I don't think it'll get down there. There we go. I just took a piece of old sprue, glued it on the bottom, and on the top put magnets in there like that, so that way I can interchange the hatch covers however I need. But for this one, I've magnetized these two pieces to fit on like this. So those snap in, and I can mount my storm bolter, which is magnetized like this. You have to line up the holes there. There we go. Now you don't have the control really to keep it up. It kind of just slumps down, but I can deal with that for the fact that I can change it out. Because remember, you have this one as well. So depending on which way you're going to put it on, you can change them. And you can also obviously put this on your Baal Predator. And the same thing applies for the missile. I put a magnet, just one, in the back of the guidance module and the front. So that snaps on the same way. Just got to match it up. There you go. There's your missile. So the same way, the hole's already there. Put your magnets in, and when I put them together, I color code them. I have one side green and one side red, just because they don't match up perfectly. And sometimes I put the magnets in backwards, so I color code them. So, there's your green. There's your red. Put your top back on, and you're ready to roll. I'll just show you the tools that I use. I use K&J Magnetics 1/8 by 1/32. The bigger ones in there I use for a Titan one set, not a Titan. What are they called? The Mechanicus, the big guys. I think they're called Titans. So I didn't use these. The size of the ones I actually used are these small ones, right here. So that's what they look like. So when I mount them, what I do is I use one of the big guys as my base. So as soon as I finish a side or a polarity, I just take this off, stick it on the other side, and that way I know that that's the way that has to go in. So if I drop it, I don't have to remember because it's showing me that that's the side I'm working on. And again, I just finish that side, stick it onto the base of the way, and I'm ready to work again. So again, 1/8 by 1/32. K&J are the only guys that I use. And then for my drill, I just use a little hand Dremel with the corresponding obviously, bit for the size of the magnet. Any crazy glue, any super glue will work. You just need a little bit, and that's pretty much it. There you go. Thanks for watching.